This year, Birmingham City Council's outsourcing contract hit a spot of bother. In fact, it has led to threats of legal action against council tenants. Outsourcing companies have been known to make mistakes before. There's bound to be teething problems when a business hands over the control of its administration to a private company. But what if one particular company keeps making mistakes? What if they have notched up a catalogue of errors over the last 20 years? Capita call themselves the UK's leading business process outsourcing and professional services company. A fancy and complicated way of saying when a company or government office can't or won't do the job, they are called in. Since 2002, Capita have had their fingers in countless pies up and down the country. The BBC, the Criminal Records Bureau and some government offices have called in the big boys to take control of teachers' criminal checks, council tax bills and the ever-controversial congestion charge, to name just a few. Capita have an amazing talent for securing contracts, messing up contracts and then securing even more contracts, all the while being paid for their trouble. Over the next 3 years, £200 million will be spent on playgrounds like this one, whilst the same amount will manage to find its way from the education budget into Capita's pocket every year.
Well, I've roamed about this earth with just a suitcase in my hand, and I've met some bug-eyed Joes, I've met the blessed, I've met the damned. But of all the strange, strange creatures in the air, at sea, on land, oh my girl, my precious girl, I love you, you understand. So reel me in, my precious girl, or come on, take me home. 'Cause my body's tired of traveling, and my heart don't wish to roam. No, no. I have wandered, I have rambled, I have crossed this crowded sphere, and I've seen a mess of problems that I long to disappear. Now all I have is this anguished heart, for you have vanished too. Oh my girl, my girl.
I'm trying to arrange an interview with Paul Pinder, the Chief Executive of Capita Group. I want to ask him why Capita keep getting so many contracts. In the meantime, I'm starting my search at Companies House to find out as much as I can about this mystery of business. Well, Companies House have given me all of this information: shareholders, company policy and profits. So on paper, Capita looks like a model business, but there is another side to this story.
I had made a request to my sort of manager for flexible working. Obviously, we'd had a baby recently, and I wanted to be able to have a day off in the week. And basically, I got told that we needed to make a formal application for flexible working, which I did, which is done to the HR department, which obviously is run by Capita. But from the start of the process to when we finally got to the appeal sort of hearing, it had been like 3.5, 4 months. And that's where we can blame Capita, because the system just completely fell apart. And the only reason that Capita has given us was that when your appeal was sent through, we forwarded it on to what we thought was the relevant person in Capita. This is Capita people forwarding it on to other Capita people, but apparently an inexperienced member of staff forwarded it on to a defunct email address.
Hello, can I speak to Lynn Chidwick, please? Hi, I sent you an email a few weeks ago with regards to setting up an interview for a documentary that I'm making. Oh no, we've not had any response, I'm afraid. We've sent the email a couple of times and we posted a handwritten letter. Hello? Okay. I'm now on hold. Okay, so will that be emailed to me today, the response? It is definitely a no then. Alright then, okay. Alright, thank you, bye-bye. Private Eye have written copious amounts about Capita's incompetence, even labelling them Capita. I met with the journalist who was responsible for some of their fiercest swipes.
I think the first time Private Eye wrote about Capita was 1994, when they made a horrible mess of a report on housing for Manchester Council, and I'm still writing about them making messes now, so it's definitely been a long haul with Capita. There is a Capita Labour link. There's a lot of kind of revolving doors between people who've worked at Capita and worked in Labour think tanks or within the party. When they came to hand out the contract for the Criminal Records Bureau, they could so easily have said, well, you've made a horrible mess in Lambeth, why on earth would we give you another job looking after records? Of course, lo and behold, 3 years later, the Criminal Records Bureau was in an absolutely chaotic state, and schools couldn't get their staff to work and all of that. I think also it's not that surprising that the Labour Party are popular with Capita. Capita have made a mint out of Labour Party policy of outsourcing things.
I've finally received a response from Capita. Sadly, they won't be giving me an interview because they're far too busy, but they have wished me luck with my documentary. That's nice.
No, I hadn't heard of Capita before. The first I knew of it was when the announcement was made that they were transferring to a company called Capita. And in fact, almost from the start there were problems. The front of my payslips still addressed to a hospital I have never worked at. I submitted a complaint to Capita at the end of last year, towards the end of November, regarding only a small quantity of money, but a deduction from my payslip, which I can't explain, and I'm waiting for them to explain. It's still being deducted. They phoned me up to tell me that I was number 406 and that they would be replying, but that was in early December and it's now the middle of February. I've heard of a junior colleague who's not had any of his on-call payments for a whole year. And that sort of thing's very significant for somebody who's a member of the junior staff. Their on-call payments might represent 30% of their salary, and if they've got a young family and a wife at home with young babies and a mortgage to pay, that can make significant impact upon their morale at work.
I've heard from the people who've been on the receiving end of Capita's mess-ups, but what about those who employ them?
All sorts of problems right across the board, and clearly resulted in extremely poor service and some unfortunate consequences for people who use the service. I think everybody's learned quite a lot of lessons from that.
Lambeth Council seem to have found a way to make Capita work for them, but exactly how have they done this?
In terms of local residents, everybody's very happy with the service now, being run largely by the council with a small amount of work being done by Capita, and I think that's a good arrangement. It's worthwhile having some private sector capacity, some overflow capacity to help you, and so I'm very relaxed about doing that as long as they're properly supervised and the specifications right, and I'm pleased to say I think that's what we've started to get right in Lambeth now.
Hello, can I speak to Caroline Mooney in the press office, please? My name's Claire McCready. I've had correspondence with her before. Hello, I'm leaving a message for Caroline Mooney. My name's Claire McCready. My producer sent you an email not so long ago about a possible interview with Paul Pinder. You did